Let's look at the publishing business and compare it to your industry, whatever business you're in, and focus on growth and development. Because really, Stephen, when it comes to growth and development, if you don't have your eye on where you're going, you're never going to get there because you're not sure where you're going. And by the way, everybody else is going to pass you by.
And if you don't know where the market's headed and you can't play yourself in that market, then you're in trouble.
Cookbooks. Cookbooks have been around forever. In this article from the New York Times, which is reposted by CNBC, they paint the picture, and especially now with Thanksgiving coming up in the holiday season, they paint the picture that with cookbooks, when you pulled them out and you put them out there, all the space they took up, they had sticky pages because you were cooking while you were doing it, but they also lead us into what's going on now, and apps, mobile devices, that the cookbook is becoming obsolete. Is it?
It's headed that way. There's no question about it. But what's interesting to me on the cookbook side is cookbooks were always considered sort of that crown jewel. That's the one that, because cookbooks were a centerpiece. They were sort of, it was a collector's item. There was something to it that was more than just a regular book.
Yeah, you wanted to showcase it in your kitchen.
These are my cookbooks. I mean, you know, but now all of a sudden you're seeing that even the cookbooks can be affected by this pad technology. And look how quickly. You know, it used to be, well, publishing's getting affected by digital, but when it hit cookbooks, and that's why I found this article to be fascinating, that sort of, that means it's hitting at the heart of something here. And from a business perspective, growth and strategy, the real question is, how do you prepare yourself to innovate in a way based on what the marketplace is doing, what the economy is doing, what the customer is doing, and what technology is doing to you so that you don't disappear?
Well, I think the way you prepare is that you adapt. You're flexible enough to adapt. You still stick to your guns where you do well. For example, in this article, listen to this. Kristen Young, okay, a woman by the name of Kristen Young, is a collector of cookbooks. That's what she does.
That's her business.
In Santa Barbara, California. Here's her quote. I never thought I would say this, but I don't go anywhere without my iPad. If it's not on my tablet, it's just not useful anymore. She's a collector of cookbooks, and she's saying, look, I got to embrace what's going on.
And she was the 1%. She was that customer that you dreamed of having, and all of a sudden you've lost that customer too. So typically you would say, well, I'm holding on to my core customer. I'm holding on to my key customer. And when you see that the trend where that customer could disappear as well, that's where it's scary. And so you see, to your point, you see in this article some people who've adapted. You have to adapt. You have to be able to move. But you have to be able to admit that the world I was in is not the world I am in. The business that I used to do isn't the business that I'm going to be doing going forward. And I'm in the business to be in business, and so I have to find a way to do that.
So let's broaden this, using cookbooks a little. Let's make it analogous to a shoe retailer, a guy who has a service, an attorney or whatever. And let's talk about growth and development. And as we broaden this, we bring apps into it because it's mobile. And of course, cookbooks are going on apps now. So you've got the internet, the way to find it. You've got the mobile that goes along with it. How is this growth, as far as growth and development, analogous to any business or any product or service?
Well, look at auto retailers, right? So back in the day, you used to go in, you'd want to test drive a car, and then you'd negotiate price like crazy. You go in now, and you know everything you need to know because of the mobile apps, the digital apps, the photo apps. So now all of a sudden, if you're a retailer, auto retailer, shoe retailer, no matter which retailer you are, the consumer's coming in with a lot more knowledge. You need to be able to actually empower them and encourage them to come in with information. And it's not the gimmicky sort of, you know, flat price model, one price fits all model, all that other stuff. It's really about engaging in the way that the technology has moved people along and bringing it forward. So can you integrate that into the experience? Could you, for instance, in a shoe buying business, think about shoes. So you ask shoe retailers.
Yeah.
Right now you go into a shoe store, and what's the first question you ask? Do you have my size?
Right.
Why do I have to go in and ask, do I have my size? Let me go online and see if they have my size. Let me look at my mobile app and say, wow, they have my shoe, my size. Let me go in and see if I buy it. Or could I scan it? Could I have my little QR code scanner on my mobile app, scan the thing and say, oh yeah, we've got it. Or no, we don't have it, but we could ship it to you. Cool, cool, bing, bing, and I'm done. And all of a sudden, you've changed the experience from that go in and try on a shoe and deal with the aggravation and really not even enjoy what you're doing.
And also from the other side, if you're the merchant, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, I don't want to go there because that's where Amazon is, that's where Zappos is. I'm competing with them. No, you've started a conversation, and by the time they do come into your store, you can be pushing messages of all the things you can offer still face-to-face that the online people can't offer.
You've bridged the O to O. So, and that's the trick. But the problem is typically in cookbooks, these types of, you're afraid to embrace that online because you live in an offline world, and you don't realize that the value is bridging that O to O and making that connection. So this article, I think it talks about Kaz Hildebrand, a cookbook designer who's changed their business model. There's a lot of interesting ways to look at, and I would suggest everybody out there, from a growth and development point of view, think about your business, think about how it's moving, and then look at other parallel businesses and how they've adapted and figure out how you can adapt your business.